Incidents have repeatedly come to light that emphasize how crucial it is to keep a healthy distance from nature's wild side. The game has turned ferocious and lethal as people have begun to approach raptors at will. With that in mind, here is a list of some animal attacks on people, starting from bear attacks. In one of the most terrifying animal attacks ever, Olga Moskalyova, 19, and her stepfather Igor Chiganenkov died in a remote area of East Siberia in August 2011. When the two returned to the area to get a fishing rod after having been fishing by a river, they were attacked. Her stepfather was first attacked by the bear, who broke his neck and crushed his skull. The young woman made an effort to run away, but she was unable to beat the bear. While the attack was happening, she used her cell phone to call her mother. Moskalyova screamed, "Mom, the bear is eating me. Mom, it's so painful. Help, Mom." When she heard the bear growling and chewing in the background, her mother realized it wasn't a joke after all. The bear called her 3 cubs, who started eating the body while Olga was still alive. Her mother called the police and begged them to arrive quickly, but it was too late. Death of Crocodile Hunter. For his close-up and personal approach to filming animals in the wild, the renowned Crocodile Hunter was well known. Steve Irwin spent his career interacting with a variety of dangerous animals before passing away from one of the most deadliest animal attacks. When Irwin was shooting an underwater documentary near the Great Barrier Reef in Queensland, Australia in September 2006, tragedy finally struck. He got close to a stingray, which retaliated by jabbing him with its tail barb. Irwin initially believed the injury was simply a punctured lung, but crew members soon realized the severity of his wounds. After rescuing Steve from the water and performing CPR right away, it was discovered that the barb had pierced his heart. He was later declared dead by emergency personnel. Tigers hunt. On Christmas Day in 2007, a 4-year-old tiger named Tatiana broke out of her outdoor enclosure and attacked 3 guests just before the park's closing time. All 3 victims were young men from San Jose. Carlos Souza, 17, and 2 other brothers, Amritpal and Kulbir Daliwal. The brothers fled to a nearby cafe when the tiger jumped over the fence and attacked Souza. In a panic and confusion, the cafe staff called the emergency services, and security locked down the zoo to prevent Tatiana from escaping. Carlos Souza's body was discovered by the enclosure when the paramedics got there, with a fatal cut to the jugular vein. His skull and spinal bones were fractured, and the attack left him with numerous blunt force injuries to his head, neck, and chest. Near the cafe, Tatiana was still clinging to one of the other injured people. Police drew her away before shooting and killing her. Florida incident. One of the deadliest animal attacks in history occurred in Florida in June 2009 when 2-year-old Cheyenne Hare was killed by her parents' pet python. During the night, Gypsy, an 8.5-foot Burmese python, slithered into the toddler's crib after escaping from her aquarium. Cheyenne was bitten on her head and torso and then strangled. Because she had taken a sedative, her mother was unaware of her daughter's struggles in the room next to her. Cheyenne's stepfather, Jason Darnell, found the child the following morning with Gypsy still wrapped around her head. As soon as Darnell was able to pry the reptile off, he dialed 911. "The baby is dead," he sobbed to the dispatcher. "Our stupid snake escaped in the dead of night and choked the infant." Later, the couple was accused of manslaughter by culpable negligence. The snake, according to wildlife authorities, was not properly secured and registered as required by state law. Swedish Zookeeper. An unnamed Swedish zookeeper was attacked by a pack of 8 wolves that she had raised since they were pups. Colleagues said the woman, who worked for Kolmarden Zoo, always adhered to the zoo's standard safety procedures. On June 17, 2012, she entered their enclosure and alerted staff in accordance with protocol. A short while later, when staff tried to reach her by radio, she didn't respond, so they went to check on her. One of the most upsetting animal attacks had happened to her. Sadly, they discovered her remains in the pen with the wolves. Emergency personnel had difficulty entering, and according to local media, staff had to tranquilize the wolves in order to remove her body. Travis the chimp. A 55-year-old was in the cage of Travis, a 200-pound pet chimpanzee, in February 2009. Sandra Harold, a friend and co-worker, owned the chimpanzee. Harold was unable to defend Nash from Travis's attack with a knife, so she dialed 911. When the police arrived, they shot Travis several times before they could get him to submit. Nash had suffered terrible injuries and was clinging to life by the time emergency personnel could help her on the scene. Her hands, eyes, nose, and lips were bit off and devoured. Doctors performed a full-face transplant after successfully reattaching her jaw in a groundbreaking operation. But the attack left her permanently blinded and disfigured. Attack on students. A group of British schoolboys on an adventure vacation were attacked by a polar bear in Svalbard, Norway on August 5, 2011. The group had earlier in the week discovered bear footprints in the snow and excitedly snapped pictures without giving it any further thought. Horatio Chappell, age 17, was mauled to death by a polar bear in one of the craziest animal attacks, despite a makeshift tripwire system at the group's camp. Witnesses claimed that despite his aggressive fighting style, he was defeated. One eyewitness claimed to have seen the bear rear up and fall on Horatio. Before the bear was killed by a rifle shot, it injured 4 additional people. Crocodile Attack. In June 2014, an Australian saltwater crocodile measuring 4.5 meters long killed Bill Scott in one of the most unsettling animal attacks. The family's boat was moored in a serene billabong while they were out fishing. Scott was allegedly pulled from the boat and dragged underwater, according to witnesses. Despite repeated calls from family members, his body floated to the surface a short while later. The attack was described by his wife, Rosalind Scott, as something just came up from behind the motor and grabbed him. Grizzlies. Timothy Treadwell, an American environmentalist and bear enthusiast, and his girlfriend were killed and partially devoured by coastal grizzlies while working on a project at Alaska's Katmai National Park. According to reports, Treadwell had stayed at the national park for 13 summers in a row. When Treadwell and his girlfriend visited the area in October 2003 to observe the local wildlife, their campsite was searched and they were not there. It was determined that a male grizzly had eaten some of the couple when their mauled bodies were later discovered. So that's the end of the video. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and press the notification bell so you never miss out on our next videos. Until the next video, take care.